Hi everyone, my name is Tanya and I'm a member of the UCube team. And today I'm going to be sharing with you about EduBlocks. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And here we are on edublocks.org. So let's start by logging in. The nice thing about EduBlocks is it works pretty seamlessly with G Suite or with your Gmail account. So you can see down here, we've got that Google G. You can go ahead and click on that and it will automatically sync up your Gmail account with your EduBlocks account. So you can have sort of a seamless login. So now I know I can see here I'm logged in with my data science email account. Let's get started on creating a new project. So over here, I'm going to click the blue button that says create a new project. You have several options here of what language you would like to program in. Since in this course we're using Python, I'm going to click Python. I'm going to name my project Python Practice. Let's say Python EduBlocks Practice. So when you get into the interface for creating a new program in EduBlocks, you'll notice there's a couple different things on your screen. Over here, you've got the list of all the different block options you'll be able to drag and drop. In this space here is where you're going to drag and drop those blocks. And then what's really cool about EduBlocks is over here on the right, you see the line by line Python code that corresponds to the block-based code that you've created here on the left. So the left is where you'll put your blocks, and on the right is where you'll see line by line text coding in Python. So let's start by creating a simple program that stores a user's username. I'm going to start by creating a variable that's going to hold or store the username. So let's start by creating a variable. We have to come up with a variable name that's descriptive for what exactly that variable is going to store. And it's convention that when you create a new variable and you name it, you use lowercase letters. And if you need any spaces, you use an underscore. So I know that this variable is going to be storing a username. So let's call it username. All right, so I created my variable username, and you see over here, there's two options for how I might drag and drop one of these into my line of code. I'm going to start by this one that looks like a puzzle piece. We'll talk about when to use the one that looks like a bubble a little bit later on. All right, so I've got a username and it's assigned to 0. Well, I don't want my username to be 0. I want it to be my name, Tanya. So I'm going to go ahead and edit the variable to be Tanya. So now my username is assigned to be the string Tanya. I'm going to go ahead and run the program over here. But notice that when I run it, pressing this run button here, nothing happens. So let me stop it. The reason why nothing happened when I ran the program is I didn't ask the program to print anything. All we did was assign the variable Tanya to the variable username. If I want the program to actually print that out or to display my username, I need to tell it to print. So I'll come in here and use this option, print. I don't want it to print just any variable. I want it to print the variable username. So here's an example of when I'll use the bubble version of my variable instead of the puzzle one. The puzzle version is for when I want to assign the variable to something. The bubble is when I want to use the variable for something. So I want to use the variable, I want to print it. So let's go ahead and run it again. Tanya. All right, so we printed out the username Tanya. Perfect. Let's make something a little bit more complicated here. Let's, instead of automatically me, the programmer, telling the program what the username is, let's have a user come in and tell the program what the username will be. So in programming, there's a difference between what has the programmer written and what is the user writing. If I want the user or somebody running my program to be the one that decides the username, that means I need to take some input from that user and then assign it to the variable username. The way that we do that is with an input button. So I'm going to drag and drop input in here. This is instead going to assign to username whatever input the user gives to the question, what is your name? And then we're still going to print whatever they said. So let's go ahead and run this slightly more complex version of our code. So it starts with asking the question, what is your name? Notice that anything that the program is printing comes up in black font, and anything that the user puts in is going to come up in blue. So what should my username be? Let's change it. This time I want my username to be T. Lamar. So my input as the user is coming in blue. What the program asked is in black. I'm going to go ahead and press enter, which is going to assign T. Lamar as my username. And then the program prints the username, T. Lamar. All right, so that's a sort of entry to EduBlocks. What's the interface look like? How do we drag and drop? The next thing I want to show you is how do you save your project? So thankfully, there's a nice little save button right there on the screen. Go ahead and hit save, and you're saved. No problem. Don't need to do anything more. It automatically saved just by hitting that button. Let's say I want to share this project with other people in my class or with my students. This little button here, it looks like 3 little dots that are connected, is a share button. I can get a copy link that would allow people to access exactly this interface. I could also share this code to Google Classroom, which might be useful in a teacher's role. The last thing I want to show you how to do is how do you access your saved projects when you're done? So let's go back out here. I'm in the home space of EduBlocks. If I want to go and open a project I've been working on, I'm logged in. I can go over here to the projects button, and we see Python EduBlocks practice, the program I was working on. I can open it back up and continue where I left off. All right, so that's your overview of EduBlocks, how to log in, how to create a variable, how to assign a variable based on input from a user, how to print, how to run your program, and how to save and share. Hopefully this gives you a good intro to start playing in EduBlocks. See you soon.